This is KGW News at noon.
I hope that as a monument to Nikki Kuhnhausen, a child of our Clark County community, the efforts by all those who assisted in this case, the legal proceedings, and the movement towards something resembling justice may be seen as a step in the greater overall movement from darkness toward light.
Powerful words from a Clark County judge today as he sentenced a Clark County man in the murder of a 17-year-old transgender girl. David Bogdanoff will spend just over 20 years in prison for killing Nikki Kuhnhausen. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brenda Braxton. Bogdanoff received the maximum sentence for the 2019 crime. Kuhnhausen's family and friends filled the courtroom wearing pink shirts in her memory. A jury found Bogdanoff guilty of second-degree murder and malicious harassment, which is a hate crime in Washington. The 27-year-old met Kuhnhausen on a dating app. The two were having sexual contact in the backseat of Bogdanoff's car when he found out she was transgender. Bogdanoff strangled Kuhnhausen with a cell phone charger. He claimed the killing was self-defense, but the prosecution argued he killed her because she was transgender. Bogdanoff later dumped Kuhnhausen's body on Larch Mountain. Her remains were found 6 months later. During today's sentencing, Kuhnhausen's mom asked for the toughest sentence possible.
David has taken so much from all of us, and I'm sure the defense is going to ask for compassion. But I ask you, how much compassion did you have for my beautiful baby girl? I beg of you in the court, give him the maximum penalty for the crimes he's been found guilty by a jury of his peers.
The judge gave Bogdanoff an opportunity to address the court or Kuhnhausen's family, but he declined. His attorney says Bogdanoff plans to appeal his conviction. In less than 2 hours, President Biden will address the nation, announcing his plan to slow the spread of COVID-19. We will carry that speech live for you right here on KGW at 2 o'clock. It comes as the U.S. sees a spike in COVID cases among children. An administration official says Biden will call on all schools to set up regular testing. He's also expected to announce a new executive order mandating vaccines for all federal workers and millions of government contractors. Again, we will carry the president's announcement live coming up this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Here in Oregon, experts think we've hit our peak for COVID hospitalizations, although they're still very high. Just over 1,100 COVID patients were in the hospital as of yesterday. That's 2 fewer than the day before. Almost 300 COVID patients are in the ICU. Oregon also reported 47 new COVID-related deaths yesterday. This graph shows the weekly totals, and the trend appears like it's starting to level off. Well, one of those recent COVID deaths was a child less than a year old. According to the Douglas County Public Health Office, they were diagnosed August 20th and died this past Monday. The state says in order to respect the family's privacy, no other information will be released. And in Washington, Cowlitz County commissioners are declaring an emergency. The county's only hospital is full of COVID patients, and so is the morgue. The coroner's office can handle a maximum of 12 bodies. But last weekend, they had 19. By declaring this emergency, the coroner can buy a refrigerated trailer that will double the storage capacity.
We're overwhelmed. My people are exhausted. You know, we're doing the best we can to maintain the dignity of the deceased and get them back to their loved ones so they can continue on as a family.
Overall, the county health department says it's never seen as many COVID cases as there are right now. The ICU is full at Peace Health St. John Medical Center in Longview. Hospital staffers have now put up a tent in case they need to handle additional cases. Well, the city of Portland says it will not require police officers to get the COVID vaccine. The mayor says he's following guidance from the Oregon Health Authority. But as Maggie Vespa reports, not everyone is reading that guidance the same way.
With its ICUs still overwhelmed by COVID and more than 1,000 new cases being reported every day, Oregon's vaccine mandates are back under a legal microscope, and the view is murky.
That is not helpful. That is not helpful guidance at all.
Attorney Dan Tennell is currently suing the state over vaccine mandates, and even he's confused by the Oregon Health Authority's latest guidance. Issued Friday, it states police officers are probably not subject to the state's mandate that all healthcare workers get vaccinated because, quote, it is likely not a fundamental part of their job to provide direct or indirect medical care. Officials had previously argued law enforcement officers were covered by the mandate because they're trained to provide basic first aid.
What did you think when you read probably not?
That's not really an answer. Probably not is a guess.
As a result of the state's new guidance, first reported by OPB, the city of Portland now says it cannot include police officers in its employee vaccine mandate. Mayor Ted Wheeler telling KGW in a statement, quote, I am disappointed that we can't hold all of our city employees to the same vaccine requirement. But he added state law prohibits it. Staff with Multnomah County aren't ready to write sheriff's deputies out of their employee mandate. A rep writing, we have reached out to the governor's office and the OHA for clarification because the guidance was confusing.
I'll likely get fired over this video.
The shifts are just the latest examples amid mounting pushback against vaccine mandates. Earlier this month, Oregon State Police placed Trooper Zachary Cowing on leave for blasting the requirement on Instagram.
I have personal and religious reasons as to why I will not take the vaccine, but also the freedom to choose not to.
Days later, dozens of state troopers and firefighters filed a lawsuit against the state and the governor, declaring mandates unlawful because they violate state and federal rights to freedom of expression. Tennell is the lawyer behind that lawsuit, and he says no one is denying COVID case rates are dire. The Oregon Health Authority reported 5,800 new cases of COVID-19 over the Labor Day weekend, and Governor Kate Brown defended vaccine mandates again Tuesday.
COVID-19 is still very dangerous and unpredictable for those who are not yet vaccinated.
Still, Tennell argues first responders who have signed up to serve the public shouldn't be forced.
What do you say to people who are undoubtedly sitting at home, they're listening to this, and they're just fed up and with vaccine resistance, and they say, no, this is how you serve people, by getting vaccinated, protecting yourself, protecting others?
That's the answer for them, but that doesn't mean they should impose that opinion on other people.
That was Maggie Vespa reporting. A Clark County judge says anti-mask protesters can't demonstrate near schools in Vancouver. The district told us the order came after a protest last week outside Skyview High School. It had to go into lockdown, and so did 2 other schools. Now, if a group wants to protest, they'll need to be at least a mile away from any school in the district. The order will remain in place as long as there is a state-issued mask mandate. In the Lake Oswego School District, 47 grade schoolers are quarantining for 10 days after riding the bus with someone who tested positive for COVID. They all go to Helen Ann Elementary. The school says so far, no one else has tested positive. Hey, take a look at this. Crews had to fight a brush fire right in the middle of St Helens last night. Columbia River Fire shared this photo with us. The blaze was on Columbia Boulevard right behind an El Tapatio restaurant. About 200 people evacuated just as a precaution, but crews did keep those flames from spreading to any other buildings. There's no word yet how the fire started. Well, this noon, there is a new wildfire burning in southern Oregon. It's the Cougar Peak fire in Lake County. It really took off after it was first spotted on Tuesday. It's already burned through 20,000 acres, about 15 miles north of Lakeview. The sheriff issued evacuation orders, including some level 3, which is go now. Crews work through the night. They plan to add even more resources. Some of that help is coming from Portland Fire and Rescue. The fire danger in southern Oregon is considered extreme in both Lake and Klamath counties.